what is my opening stock? What is my closing stock? It is, I should use these functions. First child or first non-empty child for opening. Last child or last non-empty child, right? So average over time. So these are referred to as semi-additive measures, right? I'll again conclude that measures can be additive, semi-additive, and non-additive. For example, rate of interest cannot be summed up. It is non-additive. So sales is additive. Balance, passbook balance, current stock, it is semi-additive. And rate of interest, my tax rate, I can take it as non-additive. It's non-aggregated, right? So this was little information about functions. So depending upon the nature of the data, we should use correct function. Then only we'll be getting correct analysis of the data. Further, I'm going to mention here format. In case you want to show negative values in parentheses, you can select. You want to have comma separator or not, you can select. Mention number of decimal places, the local, okay? The format in which numbers, dates are displayed, it depends upon the local. So I'm using the default, okay? Now, in case the data is percentage, you may select percentage. In case currency, you can select currency. So required format can be chosen, right? Now, I'm going to add one more measure, quantity. Click and drag it out here. Okay, I don't want decimal places. I can directly, if you want to give another name, say QTY, see, you can change the name, right? For sales, I skipped one thing, that is unit system. I can take unit system, say international. So it can be used when you are browsing the data. So I have got sales, I have got quantity. I want to add one more measure. So either I bring it from here, right? Or here you can click on plus. You will be getting a new option, measure. Then I'm going to have here measure say profit, right? Select profit. And then you can specify unit system and so on. So my default measure I have taken is sales out here. What happens is when you will be designing reports and you are bringing in any dimension onto the report designer. So by default, it will be using sales as the measure. That is the use of default measure. And you cannot save the cube unless and until you mention a default measure, right? Now I'm going to create some dimensions. Now, before I go to dimension, very important thing, click on this measure out here. Incremental build option, I said script process records because it is sourced by RDBMS, and my incremental identifier, I can take order date. Okay. Build start date. Okay. I can mention it here. Okay. Further, if you want at this stage also, if you want, I want to do some change in the query object, click here. Okay. Click here. I'll show you again. It was not visible properly. Click on the query object. Click on this vertical ellipsis and then edit query object. Okay, you can edit the query object. You can go there and you can do some changes according to your requirement, and then you can save and close. This is how you can edit query object from here. Now the time is to add dimensions. I'm going to add segment. Now, very important, link. Link between dimension and fact. Why this? In present use case, all the dimensions and facts are sourced by a single query object. I need not set the link. I need not map facts and dimensions. In case these are sourced by separate query objects, then we will have to map using the key. That example we'll be taking after this. So segment, then I'm going to take category, then subcategory. I'm going to take product name. And I'm going to name it as product details. Now I'm going to add location details. Close it. Click here. Location. Now, if you see, this is location detail. Now, there is one more important thing I would like to cover out here. When we talk about location, then the data what is here may be used to showcase it in map, GIS map. For that, we should set the required property, right? So I'll select this and I'll say I want it to be GIS enabled. If it is not GIS enabled, then you will not be able to change the data for country or for the required column as map. So I'm taking it as GIS enabled. Adding state and then city. If you want, I can take region. But one mistake I did. Region, I wanted to have above state. I do click and move it. You can change the levels also, levels of the hierarchy in the design, right? And now, time to set the GIS mapping. Country, I'm taking as world countries. Depending upon the nature of data, I'm taking here US region boundary, US state, then I'm going to have city. Country, region, state, and city. I have set the properties for map, right? Then next, date. I'm going to take order date. No mapping, sourced by single query object. Here, the date what I have taken, I want to split this date in different levels of hierarchy. Say year, quarter, month, day, or year, month, day, depending upon your use case, you can do that. So I'm taking it as time dimension. And the field, I'm going to take order date. Calendar, we can have different calendars supported by this. You can take none, standard, okay? And if you have fiscal year, which is going from, say, April to March, in some countries, say it is 1st of June to, 1st of July to 30th June. So that can also be configured depending upon the use case. Okay, I'm taking standard. The levels I'm taking YQMD, year, quarter, month, day. I can take week also, year, quarter, month, week, day. YQMWD. So depending upon your requirement, you can take levels. It is right from year till seconds. That level of hierarchy is available. Then I'm having mapping it to month's first fact date and last. And I'm going to save this queue. Right? Saving it as sessions. It is saved. Now you can put this cube to build. By the time this cube is building, I would like to take you to calculated measures. Now, when we talk about calculated measures, as I said, it is using MDX. Okay. Now, for price, if you are showing the product level data, product name, right, then what you can do is total sales divided by quantity can be your price. Sales divided by quantity at product level can be taken as price. So I have taken a calculated measures. The syntax is measures. I'll write it before you within square bracket. Measures dot name of the column sales. Measures dot sales divided by measures dot quantity. That will be my price, right? So I can do that. Then one more thing I would like to take you, that there are some more functions also which we can use out here. Say contribution I'm calculating. So what I want, when we say contribution, so what is the ask, right? I'll take you here. Suppose you are having sales, you are having total sales. And here, say East is different regions. Now I want to see the contribution to total. So what we can do, this divided by total, and it can be showcased in percentage. So that is what I have tried to achieve out here using contribution. So the formula says measures dot sales, and then it will be divided by sales current dimension, whatever dimensions you are browsing through. Maybe you're browsing through country, region, customer. You can see contribution describing by all the dimensions. So I have given here current dimensions dot default member. When we write default member, it points to the root, the top level value, that is overall value. So when we divide the individual value of a particular member with the top level value, and then we can showing it in percentage format, what we are going to have, contribution. I would like to show it to you. I'm going to browse the cube, which is already built, because the cube what I have designed, it is being built. So I'll show it to you. Say I'm taking region-wise sales. Okay. And I'm going to show you the calculations what we have done. See, overall United States is this. In United States, the contribution of Central, East, South, and West is showcased in percentage. This is nothing but the contribution. Similarly, if I describe the same by, say, product, segment, and then here also you can take out contribution. So the formula what you have placed, it's not limited to a particular dimension. It will be browsed, it will be described by all the dimensions. So this is how you can calculate contribution, right? Now next, after calculated measures, our cube is also built. And when the cube is built, you can click here and you can see the build status. Here it is showing us the size and disk, the elapsed time taken to build the cube, build history we can see, right? At the end, it is showing the total fact rows, right? And then the further details out here, what we have given. Total number of member count in different dimensions and individual member counts, right? It can show you, because all these are in hierarchy, so it is going to show you total values. Product details, this is the member count, location, this. So this is how it works. Now, one thing, this is the date. Now, there are few details, what we give out here. For that, we need not rebuild the queue. For example, I'll take number one, calculated measure. Even if you add calculated measure, you need not build the queue. For date, I'm changing format, level format. Say year, quarter. I want quarter number along with year. Month, I want month along with year. I want day. I want to see day along with day, month, and year. So this is a format in which the data will be visible when you will be browsing the cube. So I have got settings of date out here. Then we have done GIS, that is the settings which is used to draw maps. Further, very important is hyperlinking. In Intellicus, when we give hyperlink, it is the drill through functionality. Like this. Here, you have got different region-wise sales out here. Now, the sales for central is 501259. But if you want to know the detailed rows, all the customers which are contributing to this value, so we can have drill through reports using which you can deep delve into the detailed records which are contributing to the value over the dashboard. For that, we'll go to our cube. There is an option for hyperlink along with measure and dimension. Now, when we go to hyperlink, you have to select the report. Say I'm having a report what I have created for testing. Region-wise sales. Okay. And then from here, you can send the parameter. So if you send any value from here, then when the report will be showcased, it will be according to the parameter what you have sent from here. I'm going to send from here, region, location, region. And it will be taking in region. The parameter which is taking the value, because now I'm going to link it to another HSV report. See, we have different types of reports. It's not so that from high-speed view report, you can drill through to only high-speed view report. No. From here, you can be redirected to any ad hoc report or any smart view report, right? That is possible. So you can map the report parameter to the value feed. This will be set accordingly. According to the report design where you want to be redirected. Okay, so here I have given hyperlink to measure, and then in similar way you can give hyperlink to dimension. Say region. I want to select report from here, possible. So you can give hyperlink to measure as well as dimension. Now question arises that what is the difference between these two, measure and this? If I'm giving hyperlink to region, so whenever you are having any chart, any widget wherein you have region, then only that hyperlink would be accessible, correct? Like here. But if you are giving hyperlink to measure, then regardless of the dimension, you can drill through depending upon the setting what you have done. May this value is described by product or segment or any attribute, or any date, it is possible. So hyperlink is provided both on measures and dimensions. So depending upon your use case, you can set this property. Now, moving next, that is when you select any dimension. there is an option secure using parameter. What is the use of this? That we are going to discuss now. Secure using parameter. Here we have to mention a parameter which is provided out here. Say I'm selecting PO region. I'll tell you one thing. When I go here and you will see I've got so many parameters out here. So many parameters are there. But when you came here secure using parameter, you were able to see only these 3 parameters. I'll tell you why. Let us understand first what's the use of this property. So value for this can be selected from the available list options. You can choose from the secured parameter to restrict the user to view the cube data. Data of row level security on high-speed view or OLAP cubes is available. For example, we have different, say, sales data we have. So Intellicus implements the security policies that restricts the data access based on users' roles. Suppose there are employees who have access to respective set of sales data or insurance data depending upon the nature of the data on which you are building the queue. Now, the data restriction would facilitate each employee to view the sales data of their respective countries or regions or states depending upon the access level what you're going to set. So there is also a manager who can see data of all the countries. That is also, of course, there. Say top level management can be there, which can access data for all the countries, regardless of a particular area or zone or region. Now, as a super administrator, you can configure a set of parameters for each user, and the user can thus select values according to the specific restricted values. For example, I can have a user, and that particular user, I say this user can have access of only North region data. This user can have access of only South region data. So that is achievable. Apply the data restriction at organization level. See, in Intellicus, when we talk about users, so within organization, we have got n number of users. So at organization level, we have to give the access, and all the users within that particular organization can see all the values which is accessible to the organization or a subset depending upon the access what we have to set. Now for this, what we have to do, number 1, the parameter what you have created, it should have, there is a property that is data restriction property, that property must be selected. I'll show it to you. This is a parameter which is having distinct regions. I'll show it to you. All the regions are here, and by default, all the values are selected for this parameter. And this property must be on. If this property is not selected, then this parameter will not play role in row level security or secure using parameter. It will not be listed out here. If this property is not selected, then this parameter would not be listed here. Right? So it is mandatory that data restriction property of parameter must be selected. Next, at organization level, go to data restriction. For this particular parameter, I say no restriction. I mean, all the values are allowed at organization level. Now, I have a user admin. For admin, for this particular parameter, again, I said values allowed for the organization. Whatever values are allowed to organization, this particular user should be able to see all the data. Whereas I have an area manager, AM, and I want this manager to see the data only for South and West. Now, here you have seen when I was browsing the data, I was able to see all the regions. On the contrary, when I log in through another user, see here I have logged in through AM01, correct? And here, if I browse that queue, only two regions, because for this user, I have given data restriction that yes, this user can see data only for South and West. All right. So this is what we have set. So I'll conclude again that to have a row level security, the setting what we have to do is secure using parameter. The parameter, what you want to showcase out here, okay, make it sure the data restriction property is selected, and we will have to set the access using managed users at org level. And if you have a user to whom you want to have you want to give all the data, or different users can be there. So this is how we can have row level security or role based security using Q. One thing I would like to cover in this sequence, that as I mentioned, that apart from these measures, I can have IDs also as measure. So I'm taking, say, customer. I'm taking customer out here. And for this, I'm having either count or distinct count. It depends upon your use case on the way the data is designed. Presently, I'll be using distinct count. Why distinct count? Because there will be so many transactions for that particular customer. But I want to see the count of customers who has given me business in this particular region or state. So I'm taking distinct count for this, and I can name it as customer. And decimal places, I don't want. Okay. So this is how I can set distinct count functionality. Measure, here dimension is taken as measure, and the function you can use is count or distinct count. So while creating this, you can have a dimension for aggregation using count and distinct count on the top of that. There may be a situation, for example, city. A city may be presented in two or more states. So whether while creating distinct count, you want to ignore hierarchy or you don't want to ignore, right? Say the hierarchy says country, state, city. If a cube designer creates a distinct count measure for city field and the city name is common in two states, so in this, if we want to have one, then if ignore hierarchy is checked, you'll be getting one. And if hierarchy is not ignored, then you will be getting the count 2. I repeat, if hierarchy is ignored, then regardless of the hierarchy, it will be counted once. And if hierarchy is not ignored, then it will be giving you count 2. So this is the use of this property, that is ignored hierarchy. Now we have seen how to build the cube, hyperlinking, secure using parameter. But one thing is there in this, that this cube design was sourced by single query object, right? Now we can design a cube which is sourced by multiple query objects, right? So I'm going to creating new cube. The data what I'm using is for insurance. Okay, so I'm going to select my query object, say QO insurance. And here I'm taking a total value, measures. Then I have got premium amount. Then I have got insurable value, uninsurable value. You can bring in all the measures, right? You can set other properties as we have discussed. Now, here, I'm going to bring in one dimension. Now, I'm going to bring in insured, okay? The person insured. I'll start from location, say country. The moment I drop country, it is going to ask me mapping. Now, here, it is sourced by different query objects. Now, the dimension key for here is policyholder key, and this key column must be present in your fact data. I have got folder key out here. The moment I have set this mapping, see the red color has turned blue. Now I can bring in other, say region, if I have state, yes. Then I have got city. I can pull in name. Then suppose I want to add date. So here for date also I'm having a query object. So from here I'm giving a year. I have got fiscal year and again mapping. Dimension key is alternate key, and then here you have got date key. Okay. Policy date key. You can map it. And you can bring in other also. Quarter. See, in this example, I have all the levels in a separate column, so I need not break it, right? I have got a quarter and then month. So this is what I wanted to cover, that a query object can be, a cube can be sourced by multiple query objects. I can name it as insured person. And here I can set it as date. So you can design the cube. Further, you can add as many dimensions according to your requirement. So here, this cube was sourced by more than one query objects, right? Now, second thing, once I designed the cube, and then I thought, no, the underlying query object is to be replaced. Click here. Click on this vertical ellipsis, and then you can select replace. And you can select the query object with which you wish to replace this. The advantage of this is, without changing the design of the cube, the underlying meta layer can be changed, right? So you can, once you design the cube and then you thought, I want to change the query object, but in case the query object is not having the available columns, available measures or dimensions, then it will ask you, replace this with what, replace this with what, and then it will replace the query object. I repeat, cube is sourced by query object. After cube design, if you want the underlying query object to be replaced by another, you can do it, right? So without changing the cube design, so the cube design would be intact and the query object can be replaced. So this is what we had to cover. And then let us move to Q&A. You can enter your queries in Q&A section. Thank you so much for joining the session and patient listening. Thank you.